So, celebration, the chiefs and the chief instructors, the masters got together, and we wrote out what we learned about Derobio. And when we asked the Grand Master how old Derobio was, he said that it was 2,000 years old. That's what the general told him. It was 2,000 years old, and it mirrors the history of Eskrima and other styles in the Visayan Islands. It's a complete martial art. It takes the students from one stick to two sticks to staff, to small knife, to bolo, to two bolos, to empty against weapons, and then to the counters. And then, in the old days of Derobio is in the island of Leyte. In the old days, the entire village would learn Derobio, because one island would raid the other island, and they'd kill all the men, and take the women and the children as slaves. So the entire village would learn Derobio. Small kids, boys, girls, everybody had to defend the village. So the girls were as good as the boys. That's what the Grand Master kept saying. And the stick was the equalizer. Okay, well, what happened? 4 centuries ago, the Spanish came and changed everything. They outlawed Eskrima for 380 years, and if you're caught practicing Eskrima, they killed you. So it drove Eskrima underground. And during that period, it only was passed on from family to family to family. Then, the other thing that happened with the Spanish is they brought Christianity to the Philippines, and the Derobio masters grouped the style of Derobio into 12. Everything was into 12. 12 offense, 12 defense, 12 percentages of Christ, 12 locks, 12 counters, 12 variations of counters, 12 variations of that, 1,728 counters. But everything is based on 12. General Alblin, in the island of Leyte, had 3 masters of Derobio. So Derobio was a style of the Leyte. There's thousands of islands and thousands of styles. This is one style in the Philippines from the island of Leyte. Okay, back in the 1970s, somebody asked the great Grand Master. We had one student who was really good in a stick, but he was scared of a bolo. And we asked the Grand Master, is there such thing as an instructor in the stick? And he said, I'm sure there is, but not in Derobio. He said Derobio is a bladed art style, and that the Filipinos fought the Spanish with the bolos, and that's just the way it was. Where our style is a bladed style. He said that the foreigners, like the Spanish, would control the large cities, but General Alblin would control the forests and the smaller cities. Okay, then I asked the Grand Master, at what stage do you bring bolo into the school? And he said, never push the bolo on the student. Let the student ask to pick up the bolo. Because if you push the bolo on the student, then they may not come to class anymore. So he said some students would take 3 to 6 months, some may take 3 to 6 years, but never push the bolo on the student. Then he lectured us about Eskrima, because everybody calls Eskrima stick fighting. But to him, this is the way you're supposed to respond when somebody asks you, what is Eskrima? You're supposed to say it's the martial art of the Philippines, it's a complete martial art style, it's part of the culture, and then you're supposed to explain about the different weapons that they use. So to conclude, the essence of Derobio, it's over 2,000 years old, it's a complete martial art, it's based on Christianity, and it's a bladed art form. So now I'm going to talk to you about the essence of the Pinoy School of Eskrima. This is how the masters and the chiefs see it. It's about the 2 Pinoys and now about Great Grand Master Tai. It's about these men. The Great Grand Master Pinoy, he lived for Eskrima. I mean, he was true to Eskrima. He ran away from home when he was 6 years old. And I happened to go to Omo Leyte with him. It's just like Waimanalo. It's a small town. So when he ran away from home because his mother died at an early age, and his father used to beat him. So when he got to the crossroads of the town, was going into the Homo Lake, he decided to go into the forest. And in the forest, he met General Oblid. And from 6 years old to when he was 17, he stayed with the general. And he learned Eskrima. And then when he became a master after passing his test with the two bolos, the general told him to go down to Mindanao and learn the southern styles. And then go to America. And when he told him to go to America, the great grandmaster was so surprised. He goes, "Well, I thought you hate Americans." He goes, "No, America is a strong country. You do well there, you recognize." So the great grandmaster was very much influenced by the general. And who was this General Oblid? General Oblid led the freedom fighters in the island of Leyte against the Spanish for 20 years and against the Americans for 3 years. And he was the best fighter. He was the Derobio master, even though there was other Derobio masters. And they would fight with the bolos, but they weren't done. They grabbed the guns after they had a chance to grab the guns and stole cannons. You can read about him on the internet. When he was captured by the Americans, they told him to salute the American flag, salute the Filipino flag side by side, which he refused to do, so they put him in jail. He was such a hero in Leyte, the guards let him out, and he went into the mountains and hid because there was a report on his head, and that's how he met problems. The second man that really influenced Great Grandmaster was Master Munkado, who was a healer. And Master Pinoy, he could heal infections, he could heal broken bones, he healed my asthma. It was incredible. He never went to school, and I used to ask him, I saw him heal hundreds of people, I go, "How did you learn to do all this stuff? The only thing you would do is smile and say, easy if you know." He never really told me how he would remember how he healed everybody, but he was a healer besides the martial artist. His master of the spirit was this man called Master Munkado. Master Munkado was fluent in 11 languages, and he was part Filipino, part Spanish. Master Munkado, at the early age of 6, was sent to India, and he became the Grand Master of Mystics, Mystery and Mystics at the age of 9, before he moved to Hawaii. Anyway, Master Munkado was his master of the spirit, and the Great Grand Master was on his spiritual committee. And I think a lot of the healing that he learned went from Master Munkado, the power prayers of Master Munkado. And he combined these two men's teachings to the Pinoy School of Eskrima. I guess the biggest challenge that he had was General Oblid taught Derobio for combat. And 7 out of the 12 strikes was to the head. And so it was a combat style Eskrima. I'll never forget what Master Frank Mamaleas told me. He said, "Treasure your master," because he's one of the last old men that are from the jungle of the Philippines that learned combat Eskrima. So he had to come, when he came to the United States, and then he wanted to start the school along with the Largos, he was very hesitant, because how do you teach combat Eskrima in modern day society and not be sued? So, but he thought to himself, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it by praying in the beginning of the class, praying at the end of class, and really preaching that it's a self-defense, that it's a cultural thing. He wanted the Filipinos to be proud of their martial art. And that's why he brought it out. He was very careful the way he taught it. He kept telling us, I'm not teaching you this to become killers. I'm teaching you this to self-defense. When you knock down your opponent, walk away, don't finish along. Master Munkado was an incredible man. He published 5 books. He published this book in 1939, Superiority of Women. He was a leader in women's rights. His church was 2.5 million followers. He had 5 doctorate degrees, 3 masters. He was the Brigadier General of the Philippines, Supreme Commander of the Philippine Community Christian Crusaders. He was the
first billionaire Filipino in the United States. And I said he was a world healer. And Charlotte Pidoy was our spiritual committee, like I was telling you. He was regular select power. Now I'd like to talk about the Vatican. And the Vatican, you know, Eddie was really wanted to start the school. And him and the Largos approached the Grand Master to start the school. And Eddie was like a Bruce Lee of Eskrima. He would always go to all the different masters. He loved Master Tabosa and Frank Mamaleas and Suping, and he'd go to them and he would learn. But when he came to class, he always said, "Oh, this is what I learned from so and so." He never said that this was Derobio. He always kept Derobio on one side and all the other styles on the other side. He was very respectful. And his favorite line was, "You cannot have respect if you don't give respect." And he was a fantastic guy. Master Tabosa recommended him to call himself the Vatican so that he would be a little bit different than his father. And Eddie was the one who said, you know, it's time to bring in the children. He's 6 years old. It's time to bring in the girls. And he said, we got to adjust our style of instruction to make it fun in class. And so that's just what we did. We readjusted our training so it wasn't so rough. Try and make it fun for the kids, but without losing discipline. Because when you lose discipline, people get hurt. I've seen plenty of people hurt in the class for the past 40 years. It always had to do with somebody fooling around. So as long as you don't fool around and pay attention, you can still have fun in class. But it was the Vatican that had this vision about expanding the class to kids and to girls. And he always said the girls could be as good as the boys. And we see it today. Eddie's goal was to have female instructors because he wanted to see all female classes someday. And he felt that girls want to learn from girls. In order to do that, we got to have female instructors. So that was one of his goals, and we hope to see that in our lifetime. Now, so the vision of the great Grandmaster was to promote the Derobio name, promote Pidoy, don't change the school name, and to make it known worldwide. Tyrone has done through the internet. So if you look on the internet, you see Pidoy over 500 places. You see Derobio. So the great Grandmaster was always worried about the future. And so right in the early 1970s, he talked about if something happens to me, it goes to Eddie. Eddie, it goes to Tyrone. And Tyrone, it stays in Tyrone's family from now on, through bloodline. But he never said it had to be a boy or a girl. It was just whoever was worthy. We're so proud of Tyrone for taking on the transition. We're so proud of Keone because we know the future is secure under him, and now he has 2 sons. We hope he has a daughter too. But we want to thank you for coming to the 50th anniversary. Without you coming, there would be no party. And we want to give you a little background on both the Grandmaster, the Vatican. Thank Tyrone personally for taking over and leading us, and tell you a little